Tim, is everybody on board?
We should have been on check to see if they can hear you guys.
Dean, Joyce, can you hear us?
No.
Where's the mic over here?
Mike's right
Oh,
there.
okay.
We'll try to. Looks like we lost Dean.
Testing 1, 2.
Dean, can you hear us?
Testing 1, 2.
Like Dean can hear us, we just can't hear him now.
Joyce, are you with us?
Joyce, Dean, can you guys hear us now? Dean, can you hear me now?
Really good.
Perfect. Joyce, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. You guys hear from up here? Okay, as close to you guys as I can, so.
All set? Call to order this regular meeting of the Richford Peterson School Board is Monday, April 16th, 2018, 4:33. We have Director Bureau is appearing via Skype, and Director Iverson is also by phone, I believe. We have a roll call, please.
Mallory Howe. Here. Joyce Iverson. Here. Julie Cope. Here. John Linder.
Here.
Dean Miro.
Here.
John Pettit.
Here.
Bonnie Princeton. Here. Anna Childs.
Thank you. Next, please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, item 4 is the adoption of the agenda. We've had a couple of additions, and they would be listed as new business. Item number 8J, authorize Superintendent Ayler to advertise for quotes for property liability and workers' comp insurance. And item K, 2 discussion items, superintendent evaluation as well as a school board self-evaluation. Any other additions or questions on the agenda?
Mr. Linder, I think I'd like to add a hire of the current assistant basketball coach.
What was that discussion on assistant basketball coach?
Hire the current assistant basketball coach.
Okay.
And then another item would be a discussion on the school busing and bullying.
Okay, that'd be items L and M then on the new business.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the agenda? Look for a motion to adopt. For a second?
Second by Hal.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item 5, public comments on the, I heard, limited to 5 minutes per person. Thank you. Mr. Thompson, do you wish to address the board? Sure.
My name is Davin Thompson. I'm just here to highlight the letter from the River Valley, Rushford Peterson River Valley Chamber of Commerce. I think you should have it in your packet. If you remember, back to the November 20th meeting, I came in and asked the board to relook at the policy about renting out to the school. A group of coaches were putting on basketball tournaments for the kids, the youth kids. What we were trying to do is basically use the proceeds from those tournaments to provide free basketball to the youth at Rushford Peterson instead of charging them to play basketball and then nickel and diming the parents throughout the year for every tournament that we went to. So basically the big reason I'm here is to say thank you to the board. The tournaments here went really well. Prior to the tournaments, Mr. Tim actually got in contact with Jen Hengel with the Chamber of Commerce, and she actually put out a display at every tournament just highlighting hotels, gas stations, restaurants in the Rushford and Peterson area, activities, businesses, things to do to support the community. Like I said, the tournaments went great. I think the thing that we were the most surprised about was the number of businesses that reached out to us and to Jen just to say thank you for those afternoons and evenings in the middle of January and February when there's usually not too many people there and their doors were, people coming through the doors pretty steady. So on behalf of us as coaches, we just want to thank you as the board for having the forward thinking, not only for the kids of the district, but also for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Okay, moving on to item 6, the consent agenda. We have items A, March 19, 2018, regular monthly meeting minutes. Item B is donations in the amount of $2,150. C, March hand payables, wires, and payroll liabilities in the amount of $205,493.03. D, March payroll in the amount of $342,911.51. The April board bills in the amount of $137,986.69. And item F, personnel issues. First, the hire of Ben Mulkey, K-12 vocal music teacher. Item 2, leave of absence request for Tina Matheson. 3, leave of absence request for Tracy Smith. 4, resignation of Nina Torkelson, student council and WE group advisor. And item 5, resignation of Tom Vicks, head boys basketball coach. Anything on there anyone wishes to discuss?
I want to take the opportunity to extend our thanks and appreciation to Tom Vicks, who served our district as our head boys basketball coach. He has over 30 years of experience and has done just a fabulous job. He tied a state record this year for the most appearances in the state tournament, which is 16, and then was also voted as the Section 1 Coach of the Year. So just want the board to be aware of the accomplishments that Tom has had while serving the Rushford Peterson the Rushford and also the Rushford Peterson School District. He's done a phenomenal job for us. So wish to take this opportunity to thank him sincerely for his dedication and commitment to our program and to our school district.
So, well deserved. Do we have a appreciation letter for him?
Well, yes.
Certificate? What, can you tell us a little bit about the background of Mr. Malky and the adult music teacher? Anything about him?
I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Tim. He was lead interviewer for the position. So,
Mr. Mulkey comes to us, he currently is the K-12 vocal music instructor at Pacelli over in Austin. Is from Winona Cotter originally in high school, so I think kind of want to move back closer to home, but came very highly recommended through letters of recommendation. Also talked with he student taught in Lanesboro, talked with that individual that he student taught with, talked with the administrator of Pacelli, very highly recommended there, very good interview. The committee was all on board with him, worked with Mr. Olson and Mr. George are part of the committee, and they are on board with it and thought they could work with him, and thought he was kind of the right person to help lead our choir in the correct direction, middle school, high school choir, and also a few sections of elementary music.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I think I do have a
Okay,
question. It goes back to the hire of Ben Mulkey.
okay.
I believe several months ago, maybe last year it was, I had asked that when we hire a new teacher, that at minimum, they come to this meeting where we hire them. I'd like to at least get eyeballing on who these people are. And if I had some questions, you could certainly get a good feel for it. And rather than having it from that's which is fine, but I'd like to see who they are, number one. And I think they should be pretty anxious to see who we and the community are also. So I'd like to see that maybe go into a practice in the future.
That might be, we might be able to arrange that. I would think that could be arranged.
You mean all teachers that are hired throughout the district? Or
New hires.
all new hires, okay. Just teachers, not like staff, or the teachers you want to come training.
It will generally be the same here. And it was a policy back in 30-some years ago. Because I had a direct from North Dakota down here to this meeting, so I thought it was a good deal.
I do like that idea because sometimes we don't have the faces, so it's nice to put them in the face.
I'd be in favor of that as well. For the face of the name.
Seems to make sense. Any other comments on the consent agenda? Let's look for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Those in favor of item 6, the consent agenda approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
I
Carries. Moving on to item 7, old business. Item A, approve the second reading and adopt the following policies. Number 1, number 522, students' sex non-discrimination and unlawful sex discrimination towards a student report form. Item 2, number 506, student discipline and notice of suspension. Item 3, number 514, bullying prohibition policy. And item 4, number 524, internet acceptable use and safety policy and internet use agreement, student form, employee form. Any comments or questions on those policies?
we did meet as a group. Your board members were present at that as well. So when I say we, Mr. Tim, Mrs. Olsted, Shepherd, and myself, and then Laura and Joyce was not able to be with us, but Julie was there. So we did take the opportunity to go through all of those and tweak those so that they're in compliance with everything we have going in the district.
Okay, anybody want to add anything on the second reading of these, approval of these policies? Not look for a motion to approve.
I will make that motion, Joyce.
Motion by Iverson. Is there a second?
Second by Merrill.
Princeton beat you Dean, on the time delay.
Second by Merrill.
Okay.
We need sign language.
All those in favor of the second reading of the named policies, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No? Motion carries. Moving on to new business, item 8. A, approve adding positions to the theater program for the fall play. Mr. Musselman is not here tonight. They're at the section in Byron tonight, so we did receive.
And I shared with you in my update as well that Mr. Musselman and the theater group has taken on a very ambitious task. They are putting on a musical, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and as a result of that, he is requesting that we add 4 additional positions, from vocal assistant, musical assistant, the choreographer, the technical assistant. So, and in compliance with the master agreement, each of these positions would be compensated at $750. So we're looking at an additional cost of $3,000 to host that performance. So I've given you some background information on the play itself, or on the musical, and would be supportive of Mr. Musselman's goal of us sponsoring that special event this fall.
I know the arts program has really taken off, and that's great that we have so much interest. A lot of kids that would like to be in it, and they can't because we're a limited number, but with this production, I think more kids will be able to be involved.
Mr. Ayler, can I add a little bit?
Sure.
I emailed all of you, board members as well, after talking with Mr. Musselman last week. Once we rescheduled the section meet, he knew he wasn't going to be able to be here. So he just wanted to have me reiterate some of the key points. I know I also had him draft that letter that I emailed to you as well, and you should have a copy in front of you. But the desire is to grow the fine arts program here at Rushmore Peterson. A number of reasons. We've got a beautiful facility. We've got very interested youth wanting to participate, as you just mentioned, John. We had just last year, we had 80 kids for this current school year, but 80 kids sign up or audition for the fall play. Due to the scope of the play, we had to cut 35 kids. 35 kids were not able to participate, and that's something that Forrest and the focus is to try to not have to do that. And also that they can gain experience through something like the fall play for future involvement in One Act and other fine arts programs. But to make the shows bigger and better, we need more help, and that was to kind of spell out those positions that Mr. Ayler just noted, or you have in front of you. Adding a vocal director, specifically when it comes to musicals. Now, the idea is not to host a musical every year, more like every other or every third year. So the desire from Forrest or from us bringing this recommendation to you or request to you is to put them onto the schedule but not utilize those positions every year. So the $3,000 would not be an every year expense, but just in the event that we're hosting the musical. So the vocal director is something unique to the musical. The music or instrumental director, the choreographer, and then also the technical director. The technical director is the one position that would potentially be utilized every year. So that would be another $750 on an annual basis. But that person, technical is not the technical in terms of technology, but the technical in terms of set design, the building, and kind of to utilize, obviously, the great stage that we've got there. We have a lot more capabilities and a lot more options, but having somebody specific that can be trained in that area, utilize our student help, and kind of grow that segment of it. The idea is to try to model this after Wabasha Kellogg with Chris Medina heading their program for the past 15 years. They've expanded their program immensely and are hosting musicals every year. For example, this year they're hosting Shrek, and they've got over 70 kids involved in that. And that's kind of what Forrest is saying we want to model our program after. If we can get to that level, we're doing something very, very right. So the cost of hosting a musical is about $10,000 is the average cost. That's factoring in royalties, scripts, sets, etc. So, why don't we do musicals, or why haven't we? It's cost prohibitive, or it has been, until you have the facility. But by getting more involvement in the youth, there's more demand for the tickets. You get a better show, you fill up the theater. We've got a theater that we can now fill up, unlike in the past. We're double the size. Partner with RASA, all of those things. They do charge more for those to try to recover the cost. For example, Wabashaw's cost is $10 for an adult, $8 for a student, versus our traditional one has been $5 and $4. So there isn't a goal of getting back to a break even, but if we never try something new, we're never going to get it someplace different, and that's kind of what Forrest and I talked about is, let's be out on the forefront of this and really try to grow our fine arts program. So that's kind of in a nutshell, again, with what he's also written out to you as well, but would welcome any questions you may have that either I can address or relay back to Forrest and have him address to you. So
I think it's a great proposal, and I'm excited to see the focus on fine arts. And the only thing is that, okay, this will only be every 2 to 3 years. I'd like to see a more solid commitment, like we're going to do a musical every other year. And, they're a lot of work, but now that we have a facility, I guess I would love to see you say, yeah, we are going to do one every other year, and then with the hope that eventually it'll be such a big deal, it will be like Wabasha Club and do one everywhere. I think it is really a community that supports theater. Ross is a big production every summer, so yeah, I think it's a great idea, but I'd like to see a commitment. We're going to do one every 2 years.
Do we have folks in mind for the positions that are
With the
needed?
state-of-the-art facility that we have right now, and talented director as well as playwright, and we need to give our students the most opportunities with our theater and arts program, so I definitely would be in favor of it.
to answer your question, are there people named in place? We did discuss that. There was one name shared for a potential technical director or somebody that's been, maybe a former teacher here that's been very active in designing our sets and building our sets in the past, but we did not get to named people on who would be a choreographer, who would be a vocal director. It was kind of create the position and then have that search.
Mr. Russell thinks that he can, somebody will step up and fill the position.
Correct. He was very optimistic of that, of being able to find the people, yes.
I agree, it's a great proposal. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a few. What's the current budget now for this annual production?
The current budget in terms of the cost to the district themselves?
No, what the director draw a salary, and then when he have a budget that he would use to buy equipment or whatever to put on the play, or do we just say, I want to do this and send the bills?
In the current format, you're saying?
Right.
I know we're partnered with RASA. We do have a paid position and a paid assistant from the district expense. But my understanding is RASA is relied upon heavily to help fund our fall play through what they generate in the summer. Now, I may be totally incorrect on the dollars that we get from them, but I don't have a set number for you.
So where I'm going is like a football coach, we're gonna hire him, and then he's gonna have a budget to buy uniforms every so many years, or to do what he needs to do within that program, buy mouth cards, whatever they want to do with it for that budget. That's my assumption. I might be totally wrong. We might not do that either. But I would think that the arts would have the same situation.
We don't have that available for you this evening. We're happy to put that together for you. But I want to correct just something that Dan said. The RASA does not necessarily get involved in our school productions or our plays. However, they do host and do sponsor the children's theater that we put on over MEA, so that is supported by RASA. We have a great working relationship with RASA, so we want to see that continue, and in fact, Forrest did, and they were going to put the play on, and then they heard that Forrest wanted to put it on, so they chose another play for this summer, so we'll be happy to get a projected budget for you and have that at the next board meeting, but
I'm glad you clarified. Yes, I was confusing. Prairie Fire Theater is funded by RASA, so yes.
But thank you, and we can certainly work with Mr. Musselman and get you a projected budget.
I'm not saying that I'm against this, I'm saying that if
No, it's a good
this
advice.
doesn't happen, there should be some rhyme or reason, and if you're gonna do it every 2 or 3 years, we certainly need to put some kind of parameters, or I would say, why did you choose this? You're a high school. Why don't you do a play within your means or within your budget? But if there isn't one, I can understand what he's doing, or maybe do the same as the sports people do, because this looks like adding a sport to me. Ask them, they have the boosters clubs, and I know in other schools, there's band boosters, and
No, we'll be,
kind of things that do a whole lot of good for those groups.
Keep in mind, I just like football or basketball, and the price of admission, so I mean, there is some recouping of the cost for the admission tickets. It's not a direct out-of-pocket cost out of the school's budget. There's money coming back on it as well.
Mr. Gett's question was, shouldn't this just be like a coach, and that makes him curious, do we give our coaches, here's your football budget this year, here's your basketball budget? So-
we give them projected
Okay.
supplies, and they work with Mr. Bieberdorf, and they give him a list of supplies, and he goes through it with them. We'll be happy to put together a budget for you.
Okay, any other questions on the theater program? Not for a motion on that issue.
You're looking for a motion, I would make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Iverson, second by Coe. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the adding positions to the theater program for the fall play, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item 8B, set a date and time for a special meeting to be held in April, possibly a week from tonight or 2 weeks from tonight. And that is in regard to
Athletic,
Athletic
we'll have quotes in from the athletic field, and according to our school attorney, the facilities committee does not have the authority to enter into a contract or approve a contract, so we need to have full board present for that approval.
Mr. Bieberdorf, there's a track meet scheduled for next week.
Correct. We
What do you think?
rescheduled
Is
one
that
on
gonna happen, or?
Yeah, is the sun ever going to come out? Is it ever going to warm up? But we do have a home meet scheduled for the 23rd. That is correct. That's a reschedule from April 5th.
Is there anything on the 30th? I know other schools are starting to reschedule some of theirs.
Yeah, imagine that. Huh? We've got a home baseball game that day versus Spring Grove. We've got golf at Lake City if golf courses open in April at all this year. But that is the only 2 events we've got that night on the 30th.
Probably won't be a lengthy meeting, so that would be,
Well, we'd like to also bring forward, we have some salaries that need to be discussed and board approved, so that's the administrative assistants in the district office. So we have another item that we include on the agenda, so. You're right, though, it'd be a short agenda, just those 2 items.
we have to publish, I believe, for that, and that, do we have enough time for the next Monday?
We do. I guess I would be inclined to say the 30th then, so that we're not conflicting in the event that we're able to host our meet next Monday. We know how valuable those home meets are, so.
Anybody
Based
else?
on that information, I'd recommend that you go to the 30th, but I don't know if each of you are scheduled, so let us know if that's doable as well.
Are you thinking at 5:30?
Correct. We could go earlier if you choose to as well. We could make a special meeting and go at 5 o'clock. If that works better.
You say the 30th?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns, thoughts on that?
That's fine.
Okay, is there a motion to go with the 30th?
I'll make a motion to go on 30th
Yeah,
at 5:30.
5:30.
There's no second.
All those in favor of our special meeting on the 30th at 5:30, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Carries. Item 8C, approve the purchase of a gravelly lawnmower from M&M Lawn and Leisure.
So on page 60 of your board packet, we're anticipating that we will need to add to our maintenance equipment for field maintenance, and so we were able to take advantage of a good offer from M&M Leisure, so I'm bringing forth a recommendation for you to purchase a new Gravely and in the amount of just over $9,000. Cost savings to this district is over $33,000.
I think the only question I have is, like, I noticed further down on the agenda, we're taking quotes for bread, yet we're not gonna take a quote for a lawnmower.
We've had a strong, standing working relationship with M&M, and so they have served us well, and so we kind of rely on them to.
I think there's other people in town that sell lawnmowers, correct?
I'm sure there are, yes.
Okay?
Is
That's
that
kind of my point.
Is that where we got our stone wool?
No, we leased that from Pommel Equipment.
There would be Camel equipment as well.
Correct?
I know there are certain things where we are required to get bids, and I don't know why required to get bids, or
Not to my knowledge.
I can certainly look at the statute, but bread and milk and fuel are items that we are required to get quotes on annually. And we are not required on small equipment like that. But I can certainly get that statute and send that out to everybody.
Any suggestions on what item C, do you have any? Make a motion of anything on that?
I think Mira would make a motion to table it.
Motion by table,
I would second it.
second by Iverson. Any further discussion?
could I just ask, Eric and Miro, so are you asking because you know there are people that would like to be bidding on this mower, or would like, yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Do you know specific individuals that would like to provide this?
Go ahead, Joyce.
I have looked at Camel equipment mowers in the past, and they have, I would say, marine grade. This is what we're looking at M&M.
I agree.
If we opened it up to them, we would certainly save ourselves some great money, and it would be the right thing to do.
Okay.
I echo that.
Okay, any other comments? There's a motion before us to table item 8C. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 8B, approve Superintendent Ayler as the identified official with authority for MDE's secure website access. Anything you'd like to add to that, Mr. Bailey?
No, it's just a standard thing that in order for people to have access to our data, I must first authorize them. So it's just a standard annual thing that's required by the district. It stands for IOWA. Individual of Identified Authority, so.
Any questions on 8D, this rule? Look for a motion to approve.
Mayor will make that motion.
Motion by Miriam, for a second. Henson. All those in favor of approving 8D, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carried. On to 8E, approve Superintendent Ayler to advertise for bread quotes for the upcoming school year, 18-19. It's an annual requirement, and anybody have any comments on that? Not, look for motion to approve. Motion by Henson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Pettit. All those in favor of item 8E, approving Superintendent Ayler advertising for bread quotes for the upcoming year, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. 8F, approve the bus transportation contract with Bernard Bus Service for the 18-19 and 19-20 school years.
Page 61 in your packet. Again, the Transportation Committee, made up of Director Miro, Director Pettit, and John Linder, met, and we came to an agreement with Mike Bernard of Bernard Busing, and the amount that was agreed to was a 3% increase for next year, as well as for the 19-20 school year as well. And then item number 3 on the contract on page 62 of your document there also is in reference to the Winona school bus route, and we'll clarify that so that everybody understands that we have a bus route that entails the city of Winona as well as rural parts of Winona County. So Mike was willing to allow us the opportunity to include that person as an employee of his, or if the district wished to have that person as their employee, that we can make that happen. And we just learned as a part of our van inspection or vehicle inspection that went on, that those people that drive for us solely must be included into a drug and alcohol testing program. And so that's what prevented us from having this individual serve in that capacity right now. So to be in compliance, she has to be an employee of Bernard Bus. But once we get our system in place for the testing of our drivers, then she could be our employee. And that's why we asked that option. So I'll forego that to any of the committee members that were a part of the negotiations. Any other questions or concerns?
I understood that it's the open enrolled students that are served by that school bus.
That is correct. They have to open enroll to Rutherford Peterson in order for us to provide the transportation for them.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
Any other questions on the transportation contract?
Their charter buses, 2 of them were pounded at the state tournament. Was that brought up why they weren't up to code?
Well, I can tell you this from personal experience in working with Mike, is that when you have a team that goes to state, the transportation people are on hand to inspect any and all buses. It's not just Bernard buses. Any buses that come in there, you know, it happens that in the case with Mike's bus, one wheel well had a crack in the wheel well. They requested that he change out the wheel. And then the other one had some complications as well, so the buses were impounded, and they were fortunate enough to find another transportation provider that leased them a bus so that we could bring our fans and our band members back to Rushford. So it was an inconvenience, there's no question about that, and there was lots of confusion as that, but the DOT is on hand, and you know, it's busy enough up there, as Mr. Bieberdorf can attest, and then all of a sudden you got all these people scrambling and going over these buses with a fine-tooth comb, so they find any and everything possible for those buses. And Mike was, in fact, the night that we had our meeting, he was on the phone trying to resolve some of those issues. So, but I'm sure he's well aware of that, and I expressed our concerns with that as well. And so hopefully in the future, when we have those occurrences, that their inspection is done a little bit more thorough so that they don't run into those complications.
Any questions, comments on the transportation contract?
I appreciate the transportation committee doing the work for this negotiation, and if you're looking for a motion on the
Motion by Crimson, is there a second? Second by Heather.
Iverson will second.
All right, Pettit seconded, so we're good. Any other comments? Not. Those in favor of item 8F, the approval of the transportation contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries. Item 8G, approve the first reading of the following policies. Number 1 is 503, student attendance. 2, 504, student dress and appearance. 3, 505, distribution of non-school sponsored materials on school premises by students and employees. 4, 507, corporal punishment. 508, extended school year for certain students with individualized education programs. Everybody had a chance to complete the first reading of those policies. And so, is there any questions or comments?
Just to remind the board that we as an administrative team, along with 2 of your board members, as well as Laura, will go over this prior to the second reading. So we'll have an opportunity to review those. We invite you, if you have any questions or concerns, as you read through them, to please get that information to us. And your board representatives on that committee are Julie and Joyce.
Any questions, comments? Not, look for a motion to approve the first reading of those policies.
Motion to approve, Iverson.
Motion by Iverson, second by Coe. All those in favor of approving the first reading of the policies, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item H, approve the resolution approving the sale of Peterson School site parcels. This requires a roll call vote. There's the proposed resolution is in our packet on page 7.
So,
Anybody have any questions on this proposed resolution?
if I may, I'll be forthright with the board. Parcel 1 and 2, there's 3 parcels over there. Parcel 1 belongs to the city of Peterson. Parcel 2, which takes in the field below the shed over there, as well as the football field, that's parcel 2. And the agreement there from the consolidation plan states that once the building is no longer used as a school, is that the property then is then quitclaim deeded back to the city of Peterson. So that's why parcel 2. And then the other item of this resolution is to allow or to authorize me to solicit proposals for the purchase of parcel 3, which includes the school building and the school site.
The city of Peterson, are they ready to accept parcel 2? Are they on board with that?
They're the ones that provided you with the quitclaim deed. Their attorney went over, as well as the school's attorney as well. That is on page 88 and 89 in your board packet.
Anybody have any questions on the resolution?
We did include in your board packet as well the agreement that was put together by the 2 boards and the consolidation took place.
Look for a motion to approve the resolution for sale of the parcel 2 and the proposed bids, parcel 3. I wish to make that motion.
So moved.
Moved by Pettit. Is there a second? Any further discussion on the proposed resolution?
Yes, in the 115 pages of stuff, I kind of got lost in reading this particular part. Part 3, there wasn't an agreement on what to do with part 3 or any monetary deal come up agreed to at the time of consolidation, or was it just the first 2 parcels and then number 3 is up in the ass? I just,
That's basically right.
Parcel 3 remains as a part of the Rushford-Peterson School District.
That was the building site itself.
It's owned by the district. Correct.
I guess when I got to the reversionary clauses and stuff like that, I was pretty well done reading by then, but I guess I read up on those clauses.
You're correct. That's what the agreement was. That was at the time of the consolidation. This was agreed by the city and the school district at that time, so I'm sure there was discussion on that. Okay, any other discussion or questions on resolution, proposed resolution?
I'm in favor of that, just because to me it does, I did make it through, sort of made it through all the reading, and it sounds like we're just making good on an agreement from the past, so.
Okay, we will have a roll call vote, yes to approve, no to not approve, I guess. Laura, could you please roll call?
Valerie Howe?
Yes.
Joyce Iverson?
Yes.
Julie Cope? Yes. John Linder?
Yes.
Dean Merrow?
Yes.
John Pettit?
Yes.
Bonnie Prince?
Yes.
Motion approves 7-0. Moving on to item 8I, superintendent's report.
I guess I would ask the board to allow us to go on to the other items so that
Okay.
we can come back to item I, if you're willing to do that.
Anybody have a problem with continuing the new business? Okay, moving on to item J, authorize the advertising for authorizing Superintendent Taylor to advertise for quotes for our property liability and workers' comp insurance. My understanding that that's July 1st is our cutoff date for insurance.
Correct. So it gives us enough time to go out and seek those quotes, so.
I'll make a motion.
By Collins, is there a second?
Second by Miro.
Second by Miro. Any questions or comments on the insurance proposal? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item 8K, discuss the superintendent evaluation. This is something I know we've done in the past. I kind of lost track. I think we did it last year. Is that something the board wishes to do again? And if so, how do you propose to do it? Or wish to do it? You know, in the past, we've had, everyone has sent to me their format that's been completed, and I've filed it and brought it back for discussion. And that's certainly one way to do it, and there's probably others. And again, we don't necessarily have to do it. I mean, this is, I don't think it's required, but I think it's recommended. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Is the form we used in the past adequate?
I think it is, Joyce.
I think so.
Okay.
It's probably not perfect, but there probably isn't a perfect way to do it. Any other thoughts on
Yeah. Do you have a suggested timeline, John?
No, I guess that's up to how fast we can get it to everybody and then get it completed. I'm sure we need a month would be probably okay. We have it by next May meeting.
You might be pressing yourself to have it then. Your June board meeting is June 18th, so in the essence of just having time to allow you to give you that format, I would ask you to give consideration to having that presented to you prior to the June 18th meeting, just to give yourselves a little time.
I think that's when we did it last year.
I think it's, yeah, it corresponds or correlates to the same date.
So having the form out to us in May and then having it due in June to John?
I would say by the 1st of June, yeah, that would be
Okay.
adequate.
Yeah, the sooner the better, I guess. You know, get the form out right away and, give yourself a couple weeks to do it.
Laura and I will work on that and make sure that we get it out to you by the end of this week.
Thank you.
I don't think we need a motion on that. I think we can just go ahead and do it. Unless somebody,
I'll make the motion.
okay. Is there a second?
sure.
Second by Everson, or motion by second. All those in favor of the superintendent evaluation by the June meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Which leads us to the school board self-evaluation. And again, I think we've done that in the past. Well, I'm not sure we've done it every year, but is that something there's an interest in?
Again, that's a recommendation from the Minnesota School Board Association. It's done online, so you fill out, you go to the link and you fill out the information and you send it back to Laura and she'll tabulate the results and share that information with you.
So I think it's a good idea.
Okay. That's good. Okay, moving on to item L. Let's talk about a hiring of a basketball coach. Director Miro, you had, this was your addition, you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, I just think that Mr. Drinkhall has done he's very talented, well-liked, proven, again, we went to state, and I'd hate to see him look somewhere else to find a head coaching position, and I make a recommendation that we hire him as a head coach.
I guess I'll just invite, he's going to see if there's a second before I comment.
Motion by Nero to hire Drinkhall as our basketball coach, boys basketball coach.
Second.
Second by Pettit. Mr. Beaverdorf, do you have anything you want to add on that?
You, I guess, just acted today to accept Mr. Vicks's resignation. I think Chris is very highly qualified, but this would go outside of the normal practice of at least posting the position to see if there are other either assistant coaches that we have or others interested in the position, but I'm not taking anything away from Chris being extremely highly qualified for this. So.
I would echo what Dan is saying. You're going outside our normal hiring practice. The union requires us to post positions, so I guess I would ask the board to, again, not to interpret this that I don't support Chris, because I do, but at the same time, I don't want you to get out of your normal practice of advertising the position in-house and then outside as well. So again, you're going outside your normal hiring practice.
Well, let me remind you, we didn't advertise the position for Tom Vicks.
We did, because we did the interviews, so we followed the normal practice there, Dean.
You never provided me where you advertised that.
If I recall, it was advertised, and that Mr. Vicks just came in late, didn't he, last year? Because I know we had conversations last year that Chris Drinkhall was our candidate, and then Mr. Vicks came in and wanted another year.
Correct.
We did advertise, we advertised internally, but you recall that Tom Vicks had resigned, which means he was not an internal candidate.
Yeah.
And the board at that time allowed him to be considered a candidate.
John, you recall that, Pettit?
Oh, I absolutely recall it. In fact, that same night, I moved that, since we did hire Tom Vicks back on, that we offer the contract for this next year to Chris Drinkhall. And that was found to be inappropriate or opening a can of worms, or I don't remember the term that was used, but we didn't deal with it. So I remember the conversation. I think it was a misunderstanding that by the hiring people that Mr. Vicks was still in-house. And my argument was that he was no longer after his.
I guess my concern for the issue at hand, which is to, right now tonight, hire Mr. Drinkhall, is that it does go outside of our normal protocol, which would be that you would take a recommendation and either disapprove it. My fear is that I think even though you may be trying to help Mr. Drinkhall, I would be afraid that would come back and harm him in the future if somebody disagreed and said, why did they go out of their normal protocol in this case? So I'm comfortable with not following our usual protocol.
So I'll add to that. I mean, that's good what you're saying, and that plays right into what I'm going to tell you. Is we were out of our standard operating procedure when we hired Tom Vicks, and Chris Drinkhall had every right to file a grievance.
If you recall, Chris withdrew his name from consideration.
I understand that, but
Okay, well, I can't go back and correct that, but I can tell you going forward is that you're outside your normal protocol, and it's up to you as a board. I'm not going to fight you on the issue, but I'm just saying you're going to open a can of worms here, because anytime that you move forward and you have a resignation like you have tonight, and you come in without us having the opportunity to advertise the position, wow. I'm just telling you, it's a crapshoot after that. Because you're setting a dangerous precedence by doing that.
I think there's consensus I'm hearing is that Mr. Drinkall would certainly be a great candidate and there's support for him, but maybe if there was a mistake in the past, we don't want to compound it by making another mistake in the future or currently.
I would agree with that.
I don't see anybody saying that he would not make a great candidate, and hopefully he would be applied as well. So maybe we ought to just consider that.
Can I change the motion to advertise the position?
I think we have to, since there's a motion and a second, we have to vote on that, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
So the motion currently is to hire Mr. Drinkall, and with our discussion, all those in favor?
I'd like to discuss a little further,
Okay.
if I may.
Sure.
I believe that it's been past practice in this district to have the assistant coach appointed as head coach. I don't see where this is getting out of step with that at all. I guess I could go back and list a lot of examples I'm not going to, but I think it's been a practice around here to do that.
I can say from my point of view is that has not happened since I've been here. I don't recall it. I recall us posting the positions and then following through with the proper protocol. So I don't have any recollection of appointments being made of someone to a head coaching position.
I think a lot of times the assistant has ultimately been hired, but, that may have been because they were the best candidate after going through the process. I don't want to have any specifics either, but many times the assistant would be the likely successor and the best candidate. So anyway, we have a motion pending. Any other discussion? All those in favor of hiring Mr. Drinkall, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Okay.
With that decision, I do want to also say though, I think we do need to advertise it.
Right.
But I know it's just killing me because I'm looking back at notes, but I know we had discussion about Drinkall, and I think he only resigned his application once he heard Mr. Vicks had put in his application. So I don't want to overlook Mr. Drinkall, and I know the school board doesn't get involved with your hiring process, but I do know it was on the record. I want to say it was March last year, but I just can't find my notes, so.
I think it's probably clear that those of us who did not vote yes, we're not saying no to Mr. Drinkall, there's just no,
Right.
at this point, it's not our job.
Exactly,
And-
that's,
and, yeah,
yep,
we don't
that's
want-
exactly what
We
I
don't
wanted
want
to
to change
say.
the process for anybody, including Mr. Drinkall.
So,
I'm not hearing everything, but I do agree that he probably is the best candidate. Most
that,
deserving.
that motion fails unless someone wishes to call a roll call vote on it. Moving on, now Gene, you wish to make that motion now, or change go to the next part of that, or which would be
Yeah.
to advertise?
Mr. Linder, I think I'd make a motion to advertise the position
Okay.
so that we can move relatively quickly on this.
We would hope to have a recommendation to you by the May meeting.
Okay, that's fair.
That's your motion to advertise the position as normal, as soon as possible?
Yeah, but that would be internal, correct? If I understand the process correctly?
Correct.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Motion by Bureau, is there a second?
Coco second.
Second by Cole. Any further discussion?
I don't understand what we're voting on. So isn't it going to be advertised anyway, so we're voting to advertise it?
Just
Does that seem-
to,
does that seem
just to ensure
superfluous?
that we follow the practice.
Yep.
Okay.
An example of the girls' position, after Terry Pelzel resigned and you accepted his resignation, we then posted it internally as well as externally in the local papers, as well as on Ed Post, so kind of statewide for the girls' position. So it would be following the same practice with the boys. Now you accept it today. By tomorrow, I can work with Tony to get it posted. But obviously, you can't do that until you accepted the resignation as that first step, so.
So for that situation, the board didn't have to vote?
No,
Yes,
correct,
please
correct.
advertise it. Okay.
Without any kind of motion on your part. Just accept the resignation, we have an opening, so then we post.
I just like to limit the things I have to vote on. If it's actually something that's going to happen, anyway,
It's our standard practice, so
Okay,
we'll just follow through with it.
all right.
but I don't know if I can legally cancel that out if there was a motion and a second.
And
There wasn't a second.
can I ask a
There was.
question? And on those standard practices, we don't have anything in writing about what our standard practices are that. No, I'm just asking, I mean, it's a general.
Our standard practice, and it's been since I've been here, is that when we have a resignation, we advertise the position, we post the position. You've made it very clear to me that during my tenure as superintendent, to make sure that we adhere to those practices, and we're trying to adhere to those. If you want me to write it up, I'll be glad to put it in writing for the
I'm
board.
not saying that I want it to be written up, I'm just.
Well, and that's what I understand you saying, so we're
Well, no,
welcome to
I
do
see-
that.
No, what I'm saying is it was just brought to a question the other day, if there was a policy written up, and I said I did not believe we had one, I couldn't find one, but I would look. And I was told that we don't, and so I'm just verifying that I have the right information, right? We don't. And I'm not saying I need it, I'm just saying to make sure I gave out the right information, is that
Sure.
no, we don't, it's just our standard policy has been this, right?
We'll be happy to check
That's
on that.
fine.
Any, anything else on the basketball coach, boys basketball coach? We have, I think we have a motion we need to deal with. The motion was to advertise the position as soon as possible under normal procedure. And that would be, any other comments on that? All those in favor of posting, advertising the boys basketball position, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item 8M, the school bus issue, bullying issue, I believe. Dean, is that what you requested on the agenda?
Yeah, I really didn't plan on these two things being connected, but I have fielded several calls throughout the month in terms of some children that are being bullied, and the parents don't quite think that it's being handled appropriately. And then just, I think it was yesterday, I received a letter from one of the bus drivers, and I've talked to several bus drivers where kind of the behavior on the school buses is pretty violent at times, and unruly might be a real good definition. And I really don't know what we have in place to mitigate that, and what are the consequences if a student is out of line multiple times on the school bus. And I just wanted maybe some input from Mr. Ayler, or whoever could give me some input, Mr. Tim.
Okay, we meet with Michael when he meets with his drivers. Our recommendation is to our drivers, and we had all of our drivers in this fall when we did our kickoff with our Trojan Pride, which is respect, responsibility, and safety. The bus drivers were all in attendance, so we appreciated them there as well. We made the recommendation to the drivers then to make sure that they designate where the students should sit on the bus. We asked them to put our early childhood kindergarten students near the front of the bus, and then as the age of the children progresses, they go to the back of the bus. If the bus driver has an issue on the bus, they fill out a disciplinary report. That comes into the building principals. They deal with it. On occasions, I'll get involved in those situations as well, because we also have a similar bus that we take to Winona, so I have to be in track of those students on that bus. But generally, those slips come in, and then we work with the drivers. We try to coordinate with them as far as the behaviors they're dealing with, confirm the behaviors they're dealing with, and then come up with protocol for that, which can include suspensions from the buses. We've had some of our kids, because of their behaviors, been suspended as riders, and so we're not opposed to doing that when it warrants it. Generally, if we get 3 slips on a student, the 3rd time is 3 strikes and you're out. So we ask the drivers just to keep us informed, fill out those discipline slips, they go to Lyle, who then brings them up to us, and then we follow through with it from there.
So, just, are there cameras on the bus? I don't know if there are.
The only bus that has a camera is, there's one bus right now that has a camera.
And what would it cost to equip the rest of the bus? I mean, roughly.
That's a request you'd have to make of Bernard Busing.
Okay.
You would have to make that part of your contract.
That was my
I
question
think that might
too.
actually help us in the long run, to be honest with you.
I'm sure it would, yeah.
When we owned our own buses, we did have cameras in ones, as I recall. I believe
Yeah.
they all had
I
buses.
have a call too, but I think, I just don't, I think a lot of the parents think that their kids are beyond doing some of the things that they're doing, and some of the things that I'm hearing where kids are spitting in their faces and kneeing them in the, wherever in the privates, and it's not good. And the kids are, you know, sometimes, one of my own kids, I didn't want to go to school for several days because of the riding back from the middle school. And I think we can do a better job, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Do we have anybody that drives along as a supervisor on buses?
We currently do not.
Have we in the past?
Usually if it results in that, it's up to the parents to transport that child to and from school. Unless they have a special needs, then we will make accommodations. But I would hope that we wouldn't have to resort to that, but you never know.
Your question is, are supervisors riding on the buses?
Right.
Yeah.
So that the bus driver is the one that has to be paying attention to every kid to make sure that they don't.
We have done that in the past.
I thought we had.
When we were going back and forth to Peterson, occasionally there was a
Yeah.
principal or somebody there.
On the shuttle buses, we had, as Dean indicated, there were issues, so we did have our paras ride to and from Peterson with our middle school students, grades 6, 7, and 8.
And I found that helpful. I mean, it did help.
One thing that occurs to me that if these students, I think it's a small number of them that are involved. I think most of them are fine, but they're probably the same ones over and over again oftentimes. And if the parents have to bring them to school and take off work to do it, that might make some behavioral changes. That's just a thought that occurred to me. Bringing your kids to school every day can be pretty inconvenient for a lot of people.
I agree.
That might be the way to
I'm not looking
go.
for a solution, I'm just looking for ideas. You know, I don't know.
I agree with you about the cameras being on. Is that something that we at least look into, what that would cost? Because it might not be as much as what we think, you know.
Yeah, they're a lot cheaper
Technology
these
today
days.
is, it's a lot cheaper. I think that would, because then you wouldn't have to argue, one kid says this and one says something else, you know. If you've got a camera, then there's no arguing. Sometimes even just the presence of cameras might help.
And to be honest with you, they don't even have to be on half the time.
Don't say that.
Oh, kids will figure it out real fast. They'll know. It's like anything it's like anything, and the drivers that are in attendance tonight could voice this as well, is that it's difficult sometimes to always remain consistent with your expectations on the bus. But if you start the school year out, and these are your expectations on day one, when we get to 150 days in the school year, your expectations have to be the same. We encourage the drivers to use the 1-2 system. One is, if the child is acting out, tell that individual that's a 1. And if they give them a 2, they automatically write him up. Or the individual, and then bring that slip into Lyle, and Lyle will bring it into us. And again, we use that in our classrooms, and that is an effective deterrent for our students to understand. One is stop your behaviors. And if you choose not to stop and you get a 2, it automatically resorts to a disciplinary referral.
So Chuck, is that communicated back to the bus driver then? I mean, what the outcome is?
I have to admit that that hasn't always been effective, and we haven't followed through with that, but as a result of the recent incident, they will receive a written synopsis of the type of behaviors and discipline that was implemented to address those behaviors.
I think that would go a long ways, to be honest.
I agree. And so we'll make sure that that happens.
Any other concerns or questions? You'll be checking with Mike on cameras and seeing what...
Can certainly share your concerns with him and make the suggestion, as you're making this evening, that you'd like to see cameras in all the buses.
Okay, anything else on that issue?
Can I make a comment?
Actually, public comment period was at the beginning of the meeting, so I would have
Well, I'm a
to say...
school bus driver and it has directly to do with this issue.
I understand. Moving on to item I, the superintendent's report.
Okay, on page 103 is my report this evening. So just a quick review. We are blessed with a student teacher from the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. He's doing his student teaching with Mrs. Schultz this month, so appreciate that. I know that Mrs. Olstead Shepherd will be talking about reading month activities, so I just put a little blurb in there. We've been blessed. Our program has grown over the years. The Masons are very instrumental along with the Rutherford Lions. This year, 6 new bicycles were provided as incentive prizes for the students. A note of thanks to the Foundation for Rutherford Peterson Schools. Jack Pauline worked with some of the members of the foundation board, and we were able to secure scholarships from a variety of different businesses here in Rutherford to support those students that are pursuing a vocational degree. So my thanks to Jack and to the foundation for pursuing that and providing that opportunity. This evening we're hosting a play, again sponsored by RASA, and it starts here at 7 o'clock. They were here this afternoon and did a presentation here as well. Under congratulations, I forgot to add in there a note of congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. King, Kim and Jackson, on the birth of their daughter. Congratulations to them. Everything is going well. She's doing well. And again, our Coach of Character recipients, I listed those. A note of congratulations to our boys basketball team and coaches on their state tournament appearance, and again to Coach Bix on being selected as the Section 1A Coach of the Year. And then the Winona newspaper does an all-area basketball team, and 3 of our players, Ben Ansel, Jake Paulson, and then honorable mention went to Landon Scullett. And then our speech team and coaches, they're competing this evening in Byron, and so we wish them luck as well and the opportunity to make it on to state. And speaking of state, our Knowledge Bowl team just got back on Friday from state appearance, and they finished in 23rd place and had a great showing and a great opportunity. We have our FFA state competition coming up next week, so again, congratulations to all of our students and their teams and our coaches on their successes. Very proud of them all. The school online auction, as we've indicated to you on several occasions, the storage shed in Peterson. The shed has been emptied out, and we're moving forward with that. Viewing will take place next week on Wednesday, and then with the bids open and available on Sunday evening. The vehicle inspections, we held that was held last Tuesday. We had one of our bands that was red tagged, do some rust on the body, so we're not going to move forward with investing any more dollars because each of our school vehicles has a limit of 12 years. So we're working with trying to get up a replacement vehicle for that. And then as well, we have van number 3 that has reached that age limit of 12 years. It's a 10-passenger van. It will be necessary for us to replace that come next year. So we'll be looking at going through the state bid program, and estimated cost is shared with you there this evening as well. Just a note of thanks to Laura and Rod for their help and assistance with the inspection. Thanks to them, we were able to have everything in place, and then the recommendations that were given to us to make sure that we're in compliance were completed in a short period of time. So again, my thanks to Laura and Rod for their efforts. That's my report. I'll be happy to entertain any questions, concerns you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Baylor? Okay, thank you. Moving on, community ed report.
Thank you. Well, on the report, we have Glee Club coming up. We have 24 participants. They will do their spring concert on May 10th with the rest of the elementary. Youth dance, we have 89 participants, and their big performances on Saturday, May 5th. We're doing the performance on one day with 2 different performances. And then we have another youth enrichment coming up with Bottle Rockets on Monday, so we're still taking some registrations for that. Youth rec, we did, as you see, a lot of kids here tonight. We have 109 participants for for spring soccer. So it's a huge program going on right now. We have practices Monday nights and then scrimmage dates on Saturdays. Hopefully Mother Nature will start cooperating so we can get outside. And then upcoming planning, I gave you all a community ed brochure for the summer. We have a lot of fun activities. The big fun for us is actually having space this year in our building so we can have youth enrichment come back. So we have Lego programs, we have music lessons, horse camp grew by one more camp. That's not inside, but there's just a lot of fun, great ideas in here, or great events coming up. Also in the back, we are partnering with Lyra, the orchestra coming in here on May 6th. They contacted me, David Schrober, Myron's son, he's up in New York. He contacted me, he had a contact there. They have a grant to come in here. It's going to be a wonderful performance, so I hope you can come and see that on the 6th. Adult enrichment, I got my classes listed there along with the wood pallet sign. We were worried that we wouldn't be able to hold it on Saturday, but she came down from Casson and she held it, so we had 10 show up for that. And then adult rec over the winter, we had pickleball along with the badminton, adult open gym, and they averaged about 10 per open gym, so that was really good attendance, I thought. Hall walking still continues to go, and the adult bar exercise class with Jackie Goyette, she started up again last week. With 12 participating, she'll be doing our summer water aerobics as well. Kids Club highlights were up this month at 13 in the morning, 29 in the afternoon. Some days are more like Mondays. It's a huge night for us. And then we were open for kindergarten registration, and then we will be open for early out on the 26th. We're taking our registrations too for the summer. Coming up here on the 12th, that's our big sign-up date. So for both Kids Club and our youth programs for the summer. Early childhood screening, we did hold our spring screening on the 6th. It's a smaller one. Our big one is always in the fall, so we had a few students participate in that, so that was good. And then Lily View Preschool, very excited about this. Just to put it in perspective, we have 61 pre-registrations already for next year. And last year at our old school, we had 59 total preschool registrations, so this year we have 74. So I can see this number just continuing to grow, so pretty excited about that. And then our preschool classes are going very well. They will have their annual field trip to Johnson Early Acres on the 25th. Kids always look forward to that. ECFB, same thing, classes are going really good on Monday evenings and Friday mornings. I stepped in there and visited with some of the parents and the families, and she's got like 12 kids in there on Friday morning, so that's very exciting for our program. The annual Daddy-Daughter Dance is coming up on the 22nd, the day after prom. And then Advisory Council, we held our meeting, so thank you to our members. ideas, and they gave me some great ideas as well, and it was a very good meeting. That's it.
Questions for Slaughter?
Yes, I have a question. You mentioned 74 coming in preschool. Of that 74, are there any enrolled that are from outside of our district in that 74? Do we have 74 little kids within our district?
We have probably a couple from Winona County that come over. We do.
You don't know how many that would be?
I can get you the actual number. I don't, off the top of my head, I know of 2 students that come over here from Winona County from a different school district right now. But I can definitely firm up that number for you.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Lawson? Thank you. Ms. Shepherd, elementary school?
Okay. Like Mr. Ehrlich said, our reading month was the ending in March now, and Mrs. Nelson and Sarah Meyer both did tremendous. Beth was working so hard the whole time. Remember the day we were actually having the program to celebrate our reading month, at the end of the day, high school kids were coming down with the bicycles because like we've been talking, Mason's donated 6 bikes again, and just having those on stage and the emoji theme and everyone, the whole elementary in the auditorium, and giving away those bikes. And Roger Anderson is always excited to be a part of it, and he's happy and he's smiling and he's proud that they can do this and donate those bikes. And those are listed right there. We had 3 third graders and then the other 3 sections. We had recognized the top 2 readers of each classroom, the first one and the second place. And again, those kids were excited. Each got bags and little treats and surprises in them. The class that read the most was Mrs. Bird's class. They were very excited. Cole Tim was our top reader for the year. He did receive a Kindle Fire, which has been the last couple of years. There's been a donation of a Kindle Fire, so that was wonderful. The Mason bikes, this year we had something unique. A little boy had his name called, and he sat there and he kind of looked and whispered to the teacher, and it turned out he just got a new bike. And so the parents had talked to him and said, if your name is drawn, just say someone else's name can be drawn. And so that's what he did. So we gave a special recognition to him, and it was wonderful that he did that. And so then another little child was able to get a new bike, just like he had just received one. So again, the Masons donating the Lions Club, they give money every year so that each child in elementary gets a new book, which is big for a lot of them. And Codes for Character, like Mr. Ehrlich mentioned. Our class trips, I put all those owls from the International Owl Center, Children's Museum, the Eagle Center, Quarry Hill, which is new to the 3rd grade last year, and rave reviews by the teachers. 4th grade is the Farm Safety, Forestville, Mr. Cave, and then of course the 5th grade with their Eagle Bluff, that's all moving forward. Even on a Wednesday coming back on a Friday. I'm told, just learning more about it this year since I went to 5th grade, that the first night's pretty noisy, by the second night it's lights out and quiet. So a lot of fresh air will do that to a person, so that's awesome. The Winona State Young Writers Conference is coming up May 2nd. Ms. Housel will be taking the 20 students to this experience, and Keela Hoskins, our new administrative assistant, was saying this was one of her favorite things to do in elementary because it was so much fun going and participating as one of the students. So that was exciting to hear that. Special Athletes Day, we're going to take the whole 1st grade and the 3rd grade students to support classmates who will be participating in this event. And it's really a really wonderful thing that we can take these students in whole grades to go to support their friends, so it's nice. The celebration of young musicians was in Lanesboro, and we took 18 students to that. Again, it's just more opportunities that we have for elementary students, and it's a wonderful thing here at RP. Quick summary.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Shepherd? Thank you. Jim, you have
Yep, thank you very much. The stars, you see their graduation information coming up here before we know it. 5-6 weeks we'll be shaking hands and getting rid of our seniors. We need 2 board members again, as always, to hand out diplomas. I see Director Muriel is left. I was gonna ask him for sure with having his son, but otherwise we've got another person or 2 that is interested in handing out.
Hi, Caitlin.
See Dean up there. Dean, can you hear me?
I do now, but I dropped off. Thank you.
We're talking graduation and handing out diplomas. Would you be interested in handing out diplomas this year for graduation with Dave graduating?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so I've got 1 there, and then if there's another board member that's interested, if you want some time to think about it, you can get back to me, or I can reach out to all of you too and kind of press a little bit, so. We got 1 for sure.
I can do it again too.
Okay, perfect, thanks, John. So we'll have Dean and John, we'll do it, I'll mark you guys down, and I'll get you information to get closer again, so thank you guys. Next one there, I know knowledgeable and FFA have been mentioned, so just a great job by our knowledge bowlers over the past weekend, and then good luck to our state FFA kids coming up. We had a walkthrough for the knowledge bowl last week before they left, and the state FFA this Friday at, I believe, 2:45, we're gonna have a walkthrough for them. They leave on Sunday, head up to the cities, and their competitions are on Monday and Tuesday for the most part, so. Going down, kind of highlighting there in goal 4, kind of just to highlight those 3 things for you real quick. We had on Friday our juniors, Jen Hengel from the Rushford Chamber of Commerce, or the Rushford Peterson Valley Chamber of Commerce, set up with our juniors a career exploration day. They went around town and had lots of the businesses around town, and I believe there was 10, 12 businesses total, and they kind of went around there at Rushford Manufacturing. They did some stuff at Good Shepherd. They were at Public Works. They were at Norman's Electric. They had lunch at Stumpy's, and just had a lot of different businesses kind of talk about careers that are available here in Rushford. And it was a great day for our kids, and I just thank the businesses and thank Jen and all of them for taking that time just to kind of show us. So a great reach out by Jen to the school and back and forth, and our kids can just see that there are very productive jobs here in town for them to come back to once they go out and get their degrees. Coming up here next week, we have they call it the CEO in the Classroom. It's something that the Winoona's Chamber of Commerce puts on. Jen Hengel will be a part of that too, and hopefully we can take it over here in Rushford Peterson in the near future. But we have, as you see there, the COO from HBC and then somebody from Fastenal come in, and they just kind of go over with the kids financial responsibilities, financial education, and just a great thing for our 8th graders to kind of see how much do you need in a job, how much money do you think you need to make per hour to make a good living and stuff like that. So I have a good discussion with them there. And then Mr. Taylor mentioned the play there. And then we've got our biggie for our kids coming up this weekend is prom. So we've got prom this weekend, and then as you see the rest of the things kind of leading through senior awards is a biggie, and after graduation. And I can entertain any questions if you guys have any as well.
I have a question. Do you know which seniors had over 80 hours of community service?
I can look them up for you real quick, and I just have 1 more that they have until April 30th, so we have some more that will that are close. But as of today, Dawson Dahl, Matthew Strapp, Jordan McNeamer, Nicole Blikesfed, Jacob Paulson, and Ben Ansel have all made it. We have a few others that are pretty close, and I'm hoping to turn some hours in here as well. So, yep, and that on senior awards, they'll get a silver cord for them to wear at graduation and then make a big deal of it that night, as well as some other scholarships.
Any more questions for Mr. Taylor? Thank you. Mr. Beaverdorf, you're up next with your activities. I'm sure you've had nothing to do.
Yeah, our spring season's underway. We've actually had 4 events. We've had an indoor track meet, a junior high track meet, a varsity softball game, and a JV softball game. We have canceled 63 events if you want to get specific numbers, and if we don't play anything this week, we cancel 22 more. So needless to say, it's been a lot of rescheduling. We took the entire baseball schedule, the entire softball schedule, threw that completely out and started over with the idea, this was all last Monday, with the idea we could be playing tomorrow. If you look at the forecast, which I do many times a day, and I have daily reports from everyone else, it doesn't look good this week. So our goal is to get as many games in, obviously, as possible. As of right now, we are still on track with rescheduling to still get 18 varsity 18 varsity baseball games and 17 or 18 varsity softball games. 12 junior varsity baseball games. I can't tell you the exact number of track meets because the trouble with track meets is once you kind of cancel them, it's very, very hard to reschedule. We are attempting, as you know, to get our varsity one rescheduled for next Monday. But for example, today's meet, which was supposed to be at Dover Yoda, won't be made up. The meet this Friday is supposed to be at Lewiston, will not be made up. So it's kind of that. Golf, that's anybody's guess if we're ever going to get outside golfing. But they're hitting in nets as of today, so that's a step there. So a lot of my thing talk about dates in terms of when they're actually getting going. That doesn't really apply because we don't know. But noted in there, I guess, is what you heard about Knowledge Bowl. Congratulations to them on an excellent year. Speech, they're actively competing today with the hopes of advancing multiple students on the state. We'll know that by maybe 11 o'clock tonight or midnight tonight. It literally goes that long. So they're going to have a late night tonight, but hopefully we'll be sharing some good news on that. And then in my report, it gives all of the conference and kind of subsection dates, and we're going to, again, try to get in as many activities as we can between now and then. One other thing, I guess, I don't know if it's been noted, but we are hosting a small group music contest here on Thursday, so it's an opportunity for us to showcase our facility. Bert Svensson kind of is leading up that and coordinating everything, so I thank him for him doing that on behalf of the subsection. But that's what we've got coming this Thursday. Prom, as we mentioned, on Saturday, and off we go, hopefully, into a lot of games and meets and everything next week. So, aside from predicting the weather, I'll be happy to entertain any other questions you may have.
No, I'm sure it's been very difficult to get through all this, but everybody's in the same boat, so it's going to be a
Yeah.
season.
As bad as we have it, some of the northern, I mean, this is through the State High School League, some of the northern schools, our goal was start on April 17th. Some of them were saying best case scenario before this last storm was maybe get a game in by May 1st. You add 15 to 18 inches depending on where you're at in the metro and that, it's going to be a struggle. And by the third week of May is playoffs for baseball, softball, so.
And the track, the conference is in the middle of May, so.
Correct, yep.
It goes pretty fast.
Yes, so.
Any questions for Mr. Bueller? All right, thank you. That brings us to our next meeting will be on the 21st, our regular meeting. We have a special meeting on the 30th of April. Anything you want to add, Mr. Raymond?
No. I just want to follow up what Davin shared with you tonight, the positive feedback from the community, and all of those people that were involved in that. I was here for some of those tournaments and was able to see firsthand, and as Davin articulated to you this evening, the impact it's had in our community has been very positive, so we appreciate the work and effort that went into that, and just the good feelings that resulted as of that with the business community and so again, I commend all those people from our coaches to all those people that were here that served as volunteers to make that a huge community as well as a school success. So, hats off to them.
I do have one question for Dan. Not going to get off that easy. There are quite a few facilities that have turf and that kind of stuff around. I think, I don't know how long Rochester keeps their bubble up. Has the conference done any searching into being able to maybe play 3 or 4 games at a certain site, those kind of options. I've been to several in the metro area, and their football field and baseball field, they're all turf. I don't know, I think Winona State would be a problem, but for softball, they do play softball on their football field. So has the conference taken a look at trying to throw things together that way?
We have not done so yet. Maybe we're foolishly optimistic, thinking that the warm weather, because that's the other part, is obviously temperature is the big issue too. In addition to obviously a clean field. We as a school participate in a softball scrimmage over utilizing the RCTC Dome for a softball scrimmage. But as far as actual games, as a conference, no, we haven't gotten to that. I won't say that desperate, but we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Target Field's probably open once in a while.
Yeah. I don't know if the Twins are playing this week.
They're in Puerto Rico.
Oh, all right.
Anything else? Look for a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Hall. All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.